has worn a number of hats: academician, researcher, administrator, educator, all with elan and expertise. Madam was a key coordinator in the process of autonomy that St. Xavier's went through as the first undergraduate college in Mumbai. She had been a member of several committees at the University of Mumbai, including the member of the Board of Studies of Microbiology and the member of the Faculty of Science. She has served as an invited expert at Sikkim University and also at the University of Bath, UK. She was awarded the prestigious American Society for Microbiology and the UNESCO Leadership Grant for International Educators in May 2009, which allowed for her participation in the 16th Annual Conference for Undergraduate Educators at Colorado, USA. She has also completed a number of research projects in microbiology. She is an accomplished educator and educationist, having made immense contributions at various levels. She has made presentations across India in the fields of curriculum design, quality benchmarking, teaching learning, quality assessments, and autonomy. She has presented approaches to teaching and learning an Indian perspective at the plenary session of a conference at the University of Bath, UK. Madam has also been a member of the editorial board of the Journal of Microbiology and Biology Education as a reviewer. Presently, she continues to be intensely engaged with the fields of education in various capacities and also as an academic consultant. We are so happy to have you with us, ma'am, and we are very eager to learn from you. I hand over the mic to you.
Thank you so much for that introduction. And yes, I think I will also start my presentation. Yeah, I will this.
तुम मेरा पप्पू जैसा है कि मेरी ईजा जैसा है तुम
Dear teachers, please mute. Rukhsana Sheikh, miss, please mute yourself.
Akila, if you're the co-host, mute them.
I think I will begin. And good evening to all of you. And I heard from Dr. Sybil that you all are a very interactive group, that you all are well versed in various features of outcome-based education. And I'm looking forward to a very interactive session today. Now, I think yesterday you all have gone through all the various parts of an outcome-based education, but I'll repeat a few points just for clarity and for emphasis. So, today, higher education is student-centric, more so than at other times, and therefore it is concerned about the employability of students, holistic development, nation building, and global citizenship. I'm sure you'll have all heard this several times, but for me, I would want each and every teacher of India to have this as his own personal goals. Yes, this is what the UGC is talking about. This is what all the various educationists in India are talking about today in outcome-based education. But really, this is what we want, right, from our students. We want them to be employable in the future. We want them to be well-developed, help in nation building, and be able to fit into the world wherever they are. Okay. This goal was built. If you all can just mute. Okay. So out of this was okay. Out of this was built the outcome-based curriculum, which the UGC has spoken about. Now, this is what I want to just emphasize on, that these are actually our personal goals. And this is also reflected in the NAC core values. So you have contributing to national development, fostering global competencies, inculcating a value system, promoting the use of technology, and the quest for excellence. I'm sure all of you are familiar with these NAC core values. Today, everyone is familiar with NAC and all the values and the various other systems. So this is what we want for our students. And therefore, you have your outcome-based curriculum, which you will have put down the institution vision and mission. You have your program education objectives, the program learning outcomes, and the course learning outcomes. This is what you are familiar with. And this is what you want to now carry on, and you want to it translated into action. Now, the only way it can be translated into action and it can be effective is to have an effective teaching learning process. If not, we can write all kinds of program outcomes, we can write course outcomes, but if we don't have an effective teaching learning process in place, these outcomes are never going to be reached, okay? So these are our goals, and it is only through an effective teaching learning process are we going to reach these goals. So now, what is an effective teaching learning process? It must move away from rote learning. For too long, Indian education has had this reputation of being, of having excellent rote learning. Well, we have to move away from it, because today, if I ask you any question and you really want to find out any information, we have dear old Google to help us. So no one is really interested in people who only are very good in rote learning, memorizing things by heart and producing it in their paper, because that skill is not of value in today's world. So we must prod students to make a meaning from what they learn, to ask questions, to extract knowledge, to apply it to a new context, to create knowledge. That is the higher order skills. And this is what we have to have in our teaching learning process. If not, designing all kinds of program outcomes and course outcomes will be a fruitless exercise, okay? So this is what we need to do. Now, you have designed your course learning outcomes, and I'm sure you all have included in your course learning outcomes academic skills like knowledge, critical thinking, concept application, problem solving, creativity, etc. I'm sure about this. You'll have also included soft skills like communication, confidence, independent work, leadership, group dynamics. So your course learning outcomes, I'm sure, include all these various skills. And this is what you want your students to have when they finish your course, when they finish your program, when they graduate from Royal College. Now, how do we make sure this happens through our courses? Now, the three areas are assessments, syllabus content, and teaching learning methodologies, all of them interconnected. Now, syllabus content is something that you are all experts in your field. You know the extent of knowledge, you know your students, and you will be able to design your syllabus in order to achieve the course learning outcomes. What I'm going to talk about is teaching learning methodologies and assessments that will help us achieve the course learning outcomes. Now, for us to achieve these course learning outcomes, they say there must be a constructive alignment between these learning outcomes, the teaching learning activities, and the assessment tasks. And only if there is a very good constructive alignment between these three areas will the intended learning outcomes be achieved. So you must make sure that you align your course outcomes, your program outcomes with the teaching learning activities and the assessment tasks. Now, so you have teaching, learning, and assessment all have to be aligned. Now, in St. Xavier's, and this is why, we got our autonomy in 2010. And at that time, we were the first college to get autonomy under Mumbai University. And at that time, the university did not have credit system or any of the present systems. And so we could do, we had the liberty of systematizing things. And so we decided, in order to get quality teaching learning assessment, to systematize the adoption of the Bloom's taxonomy for teaching, learning, and assessment. To teach the higher order skills of critical thinking, creativity, and problem solving, so that it was constructivist, so that the students were able to construct knowledge, and it was learner-centric. Okay, so this was before all the UGC had adopted Bloom's taxonomy. The university started off with their all the various credit system, etc. This is what we decided somewhere in 2009, and I happened to be the vice principal of academic improvement at that time. So it was, the responsibility was really on me, though we had a nice faculty team that helped in the development of all these systems. So Bloom's taxonomy, you all are familiar with it, but let me repeat for emphasis. It's a classification of different learning objectives for students. And there are 3 domains: the affective or the emotional, the psychomotor or the physical, and the cognitive or the intellectual. Now, a focus on all 3 domains creates a more holistic form of education. So we have to really concentrate on all 3 domains to make our education really, holistic and fruitful. However, we concentrate mainly on the cognitive in our education, and therefore we decided to look at Bloom's taxonomy with respect to the cognitive domain. And in the cognitive domain, Bloom's original taxonomy had knowledge, comprehension, application, analysis, synthesis, and evaluation. Later, however, Anderson gave the new system where you had remembering, understanding, applying, analyzing, and you had evaluating, with creating as the highest. Okay, and as you can see, and as you know, this is a hierarchy system. You have to master the lower levels before you reach the higher levels. And the analysis, evaluation, and creating are the higher order thinking skills. Now, this is part of my philosophy, that as one teaches, one assesses, and as one assesses, one teaches. Now, what do I mean by that? Now, suppose I teach in, teach all the various, in the normal rote, a lot of memorization and in that type of mode. And at the time of assessment, I suddenly remember that I'm supposed to look at the higher order thinking skills, and I set a paper that reflects this. Okay, so I have all the questions where the students have to use the skills of evaluating, analyzing, creating, applying. So they have to use all the higher order skills in order to answer the paper. But I've taught in a rather memorizing, understanding way. So I've gone through those 2 skills, and I've suddenly flipped it over at the time of assessment. Now, I don't know about you, but my students would be in an uproar. They would say it would not be fair to them. There would be a few, the cream of the class, that would do well anyway, but the majority of them would feel cheated. They would be very upset after that paper. The opposite side is also true. Suppose I teach thinking about critical thinking, problem solving. I give them lots of problems to solve, and I talk about case studies, etc. And at the time of the assessment, I give them a total memorization, let's say understanding type of paper. The same thing would happen. Students would be upset. because they have been thinking in terms of problem solving. They have practiced problems, they've practiced case studies in order to prepare for the question paper. And here I've given them just memorizing questions, things they're not really, they could have prepared better for it. Okay, so as one teaches, one assesses, and as one assesses, one teaches. And I'm going to come to this several times during my presentations. And I would like all of you to, you know this, but I want you to make it part of you that as you teach, you assess, and as you assess, you teach. Now, if teaching and assessment go hand in hand, which is the stronger of the two? In my mind, assessment is the stronger one, because assessment is the engine which drives student learning. This is true of all walks of life, not only in our classroom. In our classroom, let us say I teach, asking students to develop problem-solving skills, creativity skills, and I've been talking about case studies, problems, analysis, etc. And I tell them that, I'm doing all this because you need to develop all these skills. You'll do well in the outside world, blah, blah, blah. I could go on and on. What most of my students will ask is, ma'am, will you ask such questions in the exam? They are interested in, is this coming for the exam? If it's coming for the exam, then I need to pay more attention. I need to practice. If it's not coming for the exam, I will pick up the skills along the way at some other time. I will not do it at this time. So it's really the assessment that drives student learning, and we should use it to our advantage. For example, in microbiology, and as in all biologies, students feel that once they've come to biology, they've left maths and they don't need maths any longer. They don't need numerical skills. And I believe numerical skills is important for any and everyone. So what I used to do, that when I used to teach a topic like thermodynamics, I used to give them a lot of problems. I used to make them do problems in class, give them problems, some homework, some assignment, knowing that the aim was to develop the numerical skills. And as you teach, you assess. So therefore, I would put that in the question paper, and they would spend some time the day before the question paper knowing it's coming for the exam. And hence, it would help develop their skills. So we should use this as a tool. And, if you look around, even in society, suppose now someone is learning music, learning to play the sitar. And the person likes playing the sitar, goes for regular classes, practices. However, if the Guruji says that tomorrow I'm going, or a week later, I'm going to have a kind of a recital where your parents will come and listen to you. Now, this is a kind of assessment. And so the students will practice harder after this. So assessment is the engine which drives student learning. And this is what we have to use as our tool in order to develop the skills. Our goal is to develop certain skills. For that, we will teach in a certain way. And for that, we will use assessments. Okay. Is this clear so far? Okay, so now we have two types of assessments: the question paper format, which is objective and subjective, and the alternate assessments like presentations, assignments, field visits, etc. In today's presentation, I'm going to do the question paper format. Some of it you may already know, but let's go through it, and then you may ask me questions, and perhaps we can go into higher levels if you're all familiar with what I'm putting forward. Okay, so we had at that time, in 2009, 2010, we had adopted a template of a question paper. Now, can someone quickly tell me whether you have this template? Do you all have this? Do you all have a template system in your college?
No, ma'am, we don't have something like
No.
this.
Okay. So now, the template of the question paper is based on the revised Bloom's taxonomy. Now, what is this template? When a person sets the syllabus, when the syllabus is set, you prepare a template of the question paper with having the modules, the various, the various skills and the marks. Now, let's say in your paper, you have 3 modules. You could have 4, 5, whatever. Let's take a paper which has 3 modules. Now, what you have to do is look at the module and see how much of this module lends itself to the remembering, understanding, applying, and so on. I'm repeating myself. The goal is to develop the higher order learning skills. And we're doing this by planning an assessment, as assessment will drive student learning, and then we'll teach accordingly. So we look at the module, and because there are 3 modules, 60-mark paper, we used to follow a 60-40 system, 60 for the external question paper, 40 for the internal assessment. So 20, 20, 20 for each module. And let us say for the first module, you have 10 marks for remembering, 5 for understanding, and 5 for applying. This is, let us say, a first year first semester paper. Then for the second module, you have 4, 6, and in this paper, you can ask some questions on analyzing and evaluating. So you put 4, 6, 5, 5. And then for the third, you put 4, 4, 4, 4, 4. I've not put creating because I told you these are offhand figures, of course, but this is a first semester paper. What I want to show you is that you have to go slowly because this is a hierarchy system. Unless the students master the lower levels, they cannot go to the higher levels. So we'll keep creating out of this paper for now. So that is so, therefore, you have the total marks per learning skill and the percentage of marks per learning skill. So this template of the question paper is set at the time of syllabus setting or when you get the syllabus in hand. Okay. And now you know that when I teach, let's say module 3, I must make sure the students not only remember things and understand things, but they learn how to apply, how to analyze, how to evaluate. Now, if the students have to learn how to apply, have to analyze and evaluate, I have to teach that way. I have to give them small exercises. I have to ask them to do some homework that will make them develop these skills of applying, analyzing, and evaluating. My belief is that all students are capable, or 99% of the students are capable of this. The fact is they haven't practiced before. The systems have not, not just allowed them, they've not needed them to practice these various skills, and therefore they have not used these skills. But if you now say, no, this will come in the exam, these are the types of questions that will come in the exam. You have to analyze, you have to apply, you have to evaluate, you have to create. They will do these exercises. And from my experience, and even of those who have taught the system, students like this kind of challenging questions. They like to, they're challenged. They may or may not come to the right answer the first go. That doesn't matter as long as they try, they attempt, and slowly they develop these skills. So you're teaching accordingly. Now, at the time of setting the question paper, you set questions and you check whether more or less it follows this pattern. This is not hard and fast. Not that 30% has to be, but more or less 30%, 25. If you had, this is the breakup, this should be the approximate percentage of questions in your question paper. In our college, after we set the paper, we used to discuss this at the department level. And then again, we had a board of studies. So our question papers the moderator used to look at our question paper and the template. And again, the board of studies used to look at the question paper and the template. So therefore, this is just checks and balances to make sure that you are doing it so that your students develop these skills. And that is our aim. These are our course outcomes, right? Okay, so it's designed for each course by the faculty teaching the course as per Bloom's taxonomy. It depends on the course and the year of study. Okay, because some courses, like let's say you're taking a course on classification, then there is a lot more of memorization and understanding. You're doing, there have been people who tell me that they're doing accounts, paper in accounts, where it's all application and analysis. So it all depends on the course and the year of study. First year courses need to be guided through. You will have a greater percentage of remembering and understanding, and slowly you increase that, the percentage of the higher order thinking skills. Okay, so the first year courses, lower degrees. You have to master the lower categories and student preparedness. Now, what do I mean by student preparedness? I also had 2 PG courses under me, microbiology and biotechnology. And we used to get very good students. So at the first year master's course, we had very good students who, they used to come from all over India, and some of them or most of them were not prepared for these kind of high order thinking skills. And therefore, we had to really, even there, you would say it's a master's course, go directly to creativity. No, we had to go slow even with them, because we had to get them accustomed to things. And sometimes there used to be resistance, because there were students who had very high percentages, were toppers, and they had been toppers all their life. And they had managed to be toppers by just using the skills of remembering and understanding, a little bit of applying, let us say. They did not really use analysis, evaluation, and creation. And therefore, when we told them, when they looked at the question paper and found so much of analyzing, and they sometimes did not do as well as those who were not toppers all through their life. And so there was sometimes resistance from 1 or 2 students. But we had to then mentor them, motivate them, and being toppers, they soon learned the system and were on top again. Okay. You could also put as your template of the question paper, remembering, understanding, applying, and all the higher order skills of analyzing, evaluating, and creating together. Okay. These are offhand marks. Now we come to our first workshop exercise. Okay. So I'm going to give you 5 to 10 minutes, a little later, but I'm telling you what the workshop is all about. So using any question paper that can be easily accessed, determine the percentage of questions in the following categories: remembering, understanding, applying, analyzing, evaluating, and creating. Now, the reason why I'm asking you to do this is because you're going to begin to think about, and that's where everybody, including myself, is this analysis? You have to really stop and think, is this analysis or is this evaluating? Is this sheer applying? So, it takes some time, but soon it becomes part of you and you'd go much faster. But before we go to the workshop, let me just go through what we mean by all these, though I'm sure all of you are aware of this, but still let's emphasize it. Remembering is the ability to recall memorized information in an unaltered form. That is, it's memorized and put in an unaltered form, like define, name, list, when did, all these would be. So it is used for facts, for methodologies, for principles, theories, structures. So this is just sheer memorization. Okay, and the list can go on. Remember, it's memorized information in an unaltered form. This is how you were taught, this is in your textbook, and you write that in your answer paper. Now, an understanding goes one step further. It shows that you may have memorized it, but you've also understood the material. So paraphrase, questions like paraphrase, translate, rephrase, explain, outline, expand, interpret, differentiate, rearrange are all understanding questions. Now, when we are setting papers, one thing we have to be a little careful. Sometimes we say explain and the law of so-and-so. What we really mean is define the law of so-and-so, because what we are really asking for is a definition, a remembering question. But we use the term explain. Just because we've used the term explain, it does not become an understanding question. You are the teacher of the course, you know the course, and you are the best judge to know what type of question it is. So if it is, you've written explain, but it's actually memorization. Just pick them, not a line that from the textbook has to be written. It is a memorizing question. So you can definitions, relationships, methods, theories, graphs and tables. Graphs and tables, wherever it's applicable, is a very good way of checking on understanding. So instead of asking the student to draw a graph, which they may have memorized, give them a graph and ask them questions with respect to the graph. Only if they've understood the graphical representation will they be able to answer your questions. If not, sometimes people can even memorize graphs, okay, for a question paper. Then applying is the ability to use the learned material in a new concrete situation, develop, modify, restructure, solve, demonstrate. Principle, laws, procedures, experiments, phenomenon. Now, here again, I'm repeating. Suppose now actually, how would you carry out method A? Now, the wording of the question says, how would you, which would be an application, you're applying your knowledge. However, if you say, how would you carry out method A or perform experiment A, and in the textbook or when you were teaching, you've given the steps. Method A, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So while you're asking, how would you carry out method A? Actually, it's all in the textbook. So therefore, it becomes a memorizing or remembering question, not an applying question. However, what you can do is there is a method given in the textbook. You ask a slightly modified version of that. Okay. Remember, we have to go slowly. So just modify it a bit. It then becomes an applying question. If you ask it the exact method, experiment as in the textbook, as you've taught it, it's remembering. Slight modification and students have to apply. And you'll be surprised, you'll say, this is so easy. You're just taking the same method, I'm giving a small modification. But initially, students are just not prepared. They are so, they are so habituated with memorizing that if you give even a small modification, they sometimes go all haywire. So it's good to go in small steps. Then analyzing, the ability to use critical thinking skills, analyze, compare and contrast, discuss pros, advantages and disadvantages. Again, not material that's already in the textbook. If the compare and contrast is already like a plant cell and animal cell is already in the textbook, then it's a remembering question. But this ability to use critical thinking skills is very important for students in the outside world. This is what they need in the outside world, and it's good if we start training them in this and slowly increase the percentage of analysis questions in our question paper. And then evaluating, so to judge the appropriateness, to evaluate, to validate, to assess, to justify, to critique. So sometimes it's when you look at questions, this is where you have a problem. Is it analysis or is it evaluating? Okay, so you have to be careful about that. And then, of course, creating is to put together things that they know and form a new whole. Case studies is a very, using case studies well is a good way of helping to develop the creating skills. Okay, so to design, to plan, to construct, to invent, to create. So this is all that I just told you. Okay, these are the higher order skills. So these are the various skills that we are going to look at. Now, just before we really you carry out the workshop, I just wanted to tell you that this is happening at all levels. I have often shown this slide in my presentations. Once in the morning, I was just looking at these flyers that come along your newspaper with a newspaper, and I don't know, I don't normally pay attention to them, but this flyer caught my eye, and this is supposed to be an ad for a preschool. I don't think the name is anywhere. And they say these are the actual worksheets of senior KG. And they've given them various tasks, and then they've told you which of the Bloom's taxonomy skills they hope to develop through these exercises. So really, this is being adopted across the board, even in senior KG, in these, I think these are some of the international schools. Okay. So we come to the workshop. Now, let me just, one more thing before that is, so you will look at your question paper and remember that in the question paper, you will have choices. So suppose answer any three, justify, how would you explain the following terms, give the principle of. So justify will be evaluating. Okay. Now, so each of these would carry 3 marks. So you'd say 3 marks. How would you apply 3 marks? Explain the following terms, remembering 3 marks. Give the principle of 3 marks. So therefore you will have 12 marks and not 9 marks. So you will go through the question paper like this, putting down the number of marks and the skill, and then total it at the end. So you would know the percentage and give me the approximate percentage of marks for each of the skills. Is this understood, or are there any queries? Sorry. You don't have to don't have to fill up this grid. All you have to do is go through every question, check the skill it is addressing, how many marks are assigned to it, write down the number of marks assigned to it, write down the skill, and at the end, total the entire thing and give me the approximate percentages. Is this, could you all, in the chat box or by in any way, let me know if you have any queries or. Yeah, understood. Okay, Delphine Pereira said, okay, everyone says that they are clear about this. Okay, so I'm going to give you 5 minutes to do this. Go through the paper and come up with an approximate percentage of marks for each of these skills and put it into the chat box. Yeah, Pooja, if you can give me all the percentages, it would help. So if you all could just put U put it in that R, U in that, if you just put the percentages in that order, that would also be okay. Ravindranath has put it in a nice way. If you could do it that way, so that I'd get all the percentages. Okay. Okay. 40, 30, 46, 34, 40, 30. 2.5, 73.5, 75, 7.5. Good. 37, 37, 25. Good. Yeah, 40, 30, 30, 30, 20, 30, 10, 10. Okay. Forty, 43, analyzing, 30, 30, 20, 20. Yeah, I can see quite a lot of creating and analyzing. Okay. Analyzing. Okay. I'll give you all another 2 minutes to put down your values. 33, 25, 16, 8, 16. Good. Applying 10, analyzing 10. $24. Okay, 30, 30, 25, 50. 60. Okay, okay. Let me just give my comments at this point. Now there is, I cannot at this point say what is whether the percentages you have for your paper are good or not good, because ultimately, as I told you, it all depends upon the year you are teaching, the course you are teaching, the level of preparedness. So really, it is all depends upon you. You are the person teaching the course. You know your students, you know the course, you know the year of study, and therefore you are the best judge to know, is this percentage good enough, or can I increase the percentages of the higher order thinking skills? That is up to you to decide whether it can be increased. And for me, I do not know your papers. I do not have the expertise. I cannot at this point say that, okay, these percentages are good or not good. It is up to each one of you to go through it and see whether you could increase the percentage of questions that address the higher order thinking skills. Okay. So I'll continue. Okay, before I continue, is there any, the person who is involved in doing the technical part of this, is it possible for them to be co-hosts and ask questions, or how do they ask questions? How does someone ask questions?
Ma'am, they can put in the chat box and then we can collect it.
So no, is there any way that they can, I mean, they just switch on and ask a direct question? No.
Yes, they can.
They can. Okay, they can. So will anyone wants to make either ask a question or make a comment of the experience as they went through the first exercise? Just one or two comments or queries. Did you feel confident about it? Did you have any problems? Hello. Are you all with me? Was it all clear? Okay, I'll go on.
Hello.
Yes, yes. 10.
No, it is very difficult to categorize them as a remembering, understanding, applying, analyzing. That is what I understood.
Yes, in the sense that I gave you only 5 minutes. So it takes some time, you know. First of all, the one advantage you have is that you're familiar with the portion and but it takes some time. Is it only remembering, or am I asking remembering material, but I'm asking them to explain it in their own words. So therefore, then there would be go to the higher level of understanding. Or are they using it then to give me to apply their knowledge? So it really takes some time to even go through this exercise, honestly. Okay, because just the word explain, give the method, etc., is not sufficient to tell us whether it is an applying. You have to go question by question, think of what the answer would be, and accordingly decide whether it is applying, whether it's analyzing, it's evaluating, is it creating. Okay, so
Okay, ma'am.
it takes some time, and in 5 minutes, then you will just look at the stem of the question and you will put down the values. But sometimes it's not just the stem. You have to really look at the question, think of the answer, and only get the value. Now, what I'm going to ask you to do is to form groups. I think you've been given your groups. I'm going to give you 15 minutes. And so that using any syllabus that can be easily accessed, complete the template of the question paper. Therefore, you are put in groups subject-wise, or either your own subject or subject-related subjects if the numbers were too small, so that you understand the thing. So take a syllabus and complete the template for that syllabus. I'll give you 15 minutes. And as soon as, I think 15 minutes should be. So you could use this template or you could use this template. So that you go through the exercise. You know, I want you to go through the exercise so that you see, you understand the exercise. Have you understood the exercise?
Ma'am,
Yes,
ma'am, am I audible?
Yes, tell me.
how
Ma'am,
do sorry, yeah, you continue.
yeah, thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Okay, ma'am, I have a question with regards to the last workshop that we did. I just want to ask you that what is there any difference for the theory paper versus practical? Like, for example, under my paper, analyzing and evaluating went absolutely nil at places, because if it's a maths paper, or maybe if there are certain sums, then I can put that into practice, right? So do we differentiate on the points that you have given, that only use certain for theory paper and use only certain criteria for the practical paper?
No, not really. Not really. Because see, the goal is to develop the skills in these students in the best possible way. So now let's say it's a maths paper. I'm not very sure of the maths. Say like stats. I'm a little more familiar with stats. Now in stats, let us say they've learned various formulae and they're told they know the situation in which they have to apply it. Suppose you give a slight modification and tell them to do a statistical analysis. First of all, they have to, it's obviously an application, right? But here they are analyzing the situation, they are analyzing the kind of statistical analysis they have to do and deciding which formulae have to be used for this specific problem. So it becomes a little more than just application of the formulae. If not, it's application, right? You're applying the formula and it's application. Whereas if you want, they have to analyze which formula to use, it would go to the higher order scale of analysis. So even in a mathematical, unless it's absolute just the theory of maths, where it's just sheer remembering and understanding, wherever there is an application, it would be, an application, it could be just applying, or if you make them analyze and then apply, it goes to the higher order scale. Now in practicals, what you are asking is that in practicals, it allows you to go to the higher order skills far more, it's easier to do it in practicals, to go to the higher order skills. That's the only thing. But the aim of both a theory and a practical paper is to develop the higher order thinking skills in our students in the best possible way. Now you have to look at your course, you have to look at your students and decide the percentage. Okay,
ma'am. Thank you so much.
So now in the next 15 minutes, you all will put down this template. You all will be broken up into your groups, into the breakout groups.
Swati, how do we go into the different groups? Swati, can you see the breakups in the rooms?
Yes, ma'am.
But then, how do you will have to write? You will have to separate us out. I don't know, because you are the host now.
Yes, ma'am. Akila, ma'am.
Yeah.
Make us host. Make Malika Miss host or co-host, so we will be able to see that. You will get breakout.
No.
Okay. Number one, this was
You create, Swati, create the rooms and tell one by one BMS teachers can enter the first.
You'll have to give them the link.
Yeah. Swati will have to give the link.
Yeah, give the link.
Chitra, we are doing it because now we are the host.
Yeah, fine.
We are trying to do it.
Yes, ma'am.
assignment. Okay. ये इनके list पे
नहीं outcome based.
First group क्या है?
BMS.
तो BMS का पूरा separate. BMS कैसा हो गया? देखिए. ठीक है. फिका Kamal is not there.
चलो सेकंड बनाते हैं सेकंड ग्रुप
इसको तो कर लो पहले आसान कर 4 होगी ना भी ना सेकंड ग्रुप में जाओ सेकंड ग्रुप किसका है
Are you able to see now BMS department? Some members have assigned.
chemistry में ना किला चित्रा जूलियट
चलो
और विभा के number 3 is commerce and economics.
I'll put the list in the group. Should I put the list in the group with the name?
Yeah, but then we'll have to in anything.
They are making as per this mobile mein whatever you
have given in the mobile.
Yeah, if you want the names also, I can give the list. I'll just put it in the group.
Fine, but I'm just assigning. Not necessarily all the members are not there, but we're trying as many as possible. Room 4.
Room 4 is computer science.
Room 4 is computer science.
Ritika. Ritika. We in a next room. इसको इधर से जाना पड़ेगा. Room number 5.
This room. I was English and Hindi.
English, Hindi, Pol Science. मैंने असाइन के लिए देखना चाहिए था. अरे तो चेंज कर दूँगी.
And Pol Science.
मैं जा रहा हूँ. Six is psychology. No, 8 is
7.
biology.
Hello, Madhika Miss.
बोलिए sir.
Madam, I know my group. We are with psychology, but how do we do this exercise? That is all what I want to know.
That you are able to, for us it's a new thing. I'm just assigning that and let us see what happens.
Yeah.
You know, okay, may I interrupt?
Yes, sure, ma'am.
You know what we could do? We'll just go through this. Maybe we won't do this breakout room exercise today. Okay. So maybe in the evening.
Ma'am, we have reached almost the end. So 8
but the participants have not let, you know what, in the breakout rooms, the participants have to leave this main room and get into the breakout room.
हाँ वो कॉलेज का कुछ ज्वाइन करना तो उसके लिए अलार्म लगाए थे अलार्म पता नहीं कौन बंद करके रख दिया.
Please mute yourself, Samakhan. Room number 9.
Room 9 is we have physics and maths.
मैथ्स करते हैं ना मैथ्स के लिए
Room 8 is what is
फिजिक्स मैंने मैथ्स
May I ask the participants, till you're given your group already start doing this template, then you all could discuss it in your group, and it can be faster that way.
The last group is outside. Remaining will be here only.
Outsiders. Outsiders come.
Shabazz. Shabazz. Sonia Padera. Six. Six. Let's go to.
This. अभी एक मुझे डालना तो अपने को समझेगा तुम तो
कंप्यूटर साइंस में तुमने औसत पूरी कर
नहीं वो इससे मेरा नाम किधर था ही नहीं
Amonkar, madam.
Yeah,
This is Sanchita here. Madam, I just want a clarification.
sure.
Commerce and economics are put into one group. So you want us to frame a question paper keeping in mind those parameters which you gave us?
Yeah, a template of any question paper, question paper. You just look at the topics, and I just want it as a kind of exercise so that you know how to do it.
Okay, because when I was analyzing the existing question paper, I found 73% was only understanding. So I was thinking I'm a bad teacher to have been setting such a question paper.
No,
because
so therefore now you look at the syllabus and then go through the, but you have to look at it, the type of content also, no? So you have to look at the content and where you can take your students.
Okay, yes, ma'am. Yeah, thank you.
Have you got into your breakout rooms?
No, ma'am,
No.
not yet.
No, because I can see all if it's not working well, let's just go on. Dr. Chitra or whoever is conducting this, can we just do this in a different way? Okay, I can see them getting, I think you're going out into the breakout rooms now. I can see the number of participants decreasing.
Malika ma'am, how do I
Ma'am, Renu here. Did we get the rooms? I'm still out.
Yeah, same here. Even I didn't get any notification, but my colleagues are in some group number 10. So I don't know how do I enter that room.
Same here. I also don't know how to enter.
They will put you in the rooms, I suppose.
Okay.
I think a number of participants you'll have not been assigned your room, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
I don't know, because there's some of the, I've just visited one of the rooms and they've already started the work. You know what, you'll just prepare your own template and maybe today I will sit with the people in charge and tomorrow we'll work at it better in these breakout rooms, okay?
Okay.
All right, ma'am.
I don't know whether you will be put into breakout rooms because within 5 minutes, I think we'll stop these breakout rooms. So each one of you just think of the template that you could set up. Okay.
Okay.
Kamlesh, you are unmuted.
Ma'am, what we could analyze was that.
Yeah, 1 minute. I'll just let everyone get back. They are, I think, getting back to the.
Yeah. Okay.
मैडम हमने सेम एक्सरसाइज ओरिएंटेशन में किया था.
Okay, you'll have done this in orientation.
Yes, we have the same exercise.
Okay, so that it has traveled from St. Xavier's.
True.
Okay, now let me, I have only 5 minutes left, and there was a little bit of a hitch in that some people were not, did not get into their groups. So now within this 5 minutes, have all the groups and even those individuals who were left out, have you all prepared the template of the question paper?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Okay. Now, actually, I have a third exercise, which I will not be able to do just now. I'm going to ask you to get it ready by tomorrow morning, 4 o'clock. Okay. Now, so before I ask you for your queries and give some comments, let me tell you the exercise. So tomorrow by 4 o'clock, you should have this template ready. Okay. For a syllabus, and I liked one of the groups. I visited almost all the groups, but I liked that one of the groups took a syllabus of a paper that had a lower percentage of the higher order learning skills, and they were trying to see whether those modules could now, some more marks could be assigned to the higher order learning skills so as to improve the kind of question paper, the teaching learning that was going to happen. Now, what I want you to do is to get this template ready, and I'm going to ask each one of you to write out a question on remembering, on understanding, on applying, analyzing, and evaluating and creating on any one topic of the syllabus you teach. Okay, have you understood that? I'm going to ask you to write out one question on remembering, understanding, applying, analyzing, evaluating, and creating on any one topic you teach. In fact, I don't want it by 4 o'clock. So now, because we're running out of time, I'm going to ask Dr. Chitra to share my email with you. And I would ask you to send me, so the 10 groups, please send me the template by 9 o'clock today. It's already ready, right? So all you have to do is send it to my emails, the group, put down the name of your group, the number of your group, and send me the template by 9 o'clock today. If some of you could also by 9 o'clock send me these questions, remembering, understanding, applying, analyzing, evaluating, and creating. So that tomorrow in the first 15 to 20 minutes, I wanted to complete everything today. I will go over it tomorrow and then continue with the alternate assessments. Is that clear, all of you?
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Okay, so all the
Yes.
templates will be sending me via my email, the template by 9 p.m. today. And some of you, all of you will have to prepare the questions, but some of you, if you can, send it by 9 p.m. to my email, a question on any one topic that lends itself to all the higher order skills, a question on remembering, understanding, applying, analyzing, and evaluating. What I will do in the first 15 to 20 minutes tomorrow, go over what has been sent to me, and I could ask any one of you, I have your names, to give me different kinds of questions. Okay, so first 15, 20 minutes we'll spend on this. Then the next 10 minutes for any kind of queries, and then I'll go over to the next part, that is the alternate assessments. Now, quickly, does anyone have any questions that you would want to ask me?
Ma'am?
Any comments or anything?
Ma'am? Hi, hello, ma'am. Ma'am, so you want us to write down 6 questions or only 1 question?
No, 6 questions.
6 questions. Okay.
6 questions, 1 for each skill.
Understood. Yes, ma'am. Got it.
And all from the same topic, right?
On the same topic or the same module, like it should not be too widespread, right? Not one picked up from here, one picked up from there. From one big topic, which lends itself to all the various
modules.
Skills. Yeah. I already heard you all discussing some of these questions during in the breakout room. So if you could just put those down and send it to me, that would be nice. If you could do it as a group also, that would be also good. That would be nice, but that means that you all would have to connect with each other after this session. If you want to do it individually or as a group, you may do so. Dr. Chitra, will you share my email with the group?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. I'll do that. I'll share it.
Okay. Okay, any questions?
Ma'am, because our group is already done, we will share it not individually, but in the group, that grid. The grid.
Yeah, the grid, I know the grid I want as a group. The questions.
And the questions, if we finish, we will definitely send it.
Either individually or as a group, you may send it to me by 9 p.m.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, then we are at 5:32. I think we will close this session.
I thank Dr. Amonkar for this very interesting, insightful session. I'm sure many of us have learned a lot, and we hope to meet tomorrow again. Participants, thank you, ma'am. Thank you, everyone.
Okay, bye-bye. See you all, and please finish your homework.
Bye, ma'am. Yes, sure.
Yes,
ma'am.
thank you.
Bye-bye. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Bye. होमवर्क करो अभी।
अरे बस वो ग्रेड बनाना था, हमने तो क्वेश्चन भी बना लिए थे।
But then we did from all possible branches of chemistry.
हमारे नहीं, but it was a paper. The paper तो सभी modules में से. So Chitra, can you just forward all those 6, 7 questions?
Yeah, I'll forward.
रेनू ग्रिड बनाएगी, मैं पिक भेजती हूँ तो ग्रिड बना के भेज देना मैडम को। रेनू,
लेकिन मेरे को रूम असाइन क्यों नहीं किया?
अरे रूम असाइन किया था, तूने क्लिक क्यों नहीं किया? ब्रेकआउट
नहीं आया मेरे फोन पे कोई नोटिफिकेशन।
चल झूठी नोटिफिकेशन नहीं।